Hello, my friends. Hello, one. Hello, all. Welcome. Welcome, one. Welcome, all. We'll drop that down there for a second and we'll get teed up, queued up here for a couple of articles to bring to your attention. Nice and quiet this morning, nice and steady as we wait for our friends to join us. Good morning, Dennis. Dennis, good morning, John. Michael, great to see you. How are you? First off the bat, as per usual, great to see you. Thanks for joining me. As the room fills up, great to see you. Good morning, Nikki. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We'll keep the air nice and we'll keep the tone nice and pleasant this morning as the weather outside is beautiful, clear skies here in the Republic of Ireland. The sun is piercing the sky as a new day dawns us as the start of the weekend begins. Welcome, my friends. Great to see you all over on Periscope for the live version of this thing of ours that we do. It's now starting to change from twice daily to, I think the format started to slow down a little bit because of the information overload. It's quite impossible, really, to catch up with everything and try and bring everything to your attention straight off the bat. But we'll try and give it a good overview of a few thoughts that I want to share with you. We're going to touch in with our good friend Michael Sullivan over in the Free Press again. I want to read out to you a short excerpt from Anthony Thorbe over at Gab. If you haven't signed up to Gab, it's another alternative to Twitter. Sorry for the cursing first thing in the morning. Those of you making a rush over to Parler as the great exodus begins from Twitter and all the alternative platforms. We also see a great exodus to Legacy, Library. Odyssey is another platform, brand new tube. We've got many alternatives, but most people still digging their heels in and hanging in on YouTube because it's so comfortable. Good morning, Seamus. Great to see you, brother. And Meteor Pete 1 from Belfast. I love it when I love it when our friends from the north of Ireland join us. Great to see you. Sunny in Manchester, also from John Parsons. Let us know. Great to see everybody getting together. I know the communication is a little bit lackluster on these live broadcasts because we don't have a dedicated live chat, but we will be removed from Facebook jail in another three weeks. We will plow on. No news when the YouTube live stream will be back, but I say we make preparations that should the inevitable probably happen that the YouTube will be closed down or the YouTube will not get the live stream facilities back. We'll crack on with Facebook, but please don't forget to join us over on. Let me see if I can just cue this one up because it's a new one for me. Will it happen? No. Oh, maybe it will happen. Well, don't forget you can join us also over on Twitch, DLive, Periscope, and Facebook for now. A couple of reminders there. The Twitter handle is Rowan W. Croft at Rowan W. Croft. Also over on Instagram, we're going to be doing some live streamings there daily over on the Instagram, Grand_Torino_Ireland. Facebook also, Rowan Croft GT, and obviously the YouTube at Grand Torino, and over on Twitch at Grand_Torino_Ireland, pretty much the same as Instagram and all the other places. So as the conversation starts in the live chat, as everybody greets each other as they always do with great cordiality and great merriment and mirth as we reconvene this thing of ours as all our friends join us. And for those of you viewing on YouTube after the fact, I will be in the live chat saying hello to you and touching in with you. Like I say to you, it's the weekend, and given the situation that we are in and the times that are in, I think we will get the 5 o'clock drops on Friday. If anything is about to break, any different news articles of any substance, usually drop late on a Friday evening so that the mainstream and everybody else can chew on it over the weekend. But latest reports from Pennsylvania is that, as far as I'm aware, that Pennsylvania is flipping and it will turn red. There's so much voter fraud being uncovered, so many questions being asked, not by mainstream media, but by the regular citizens and alternative media pursuing the questions on what is and will be seen to be, on reflection, the greatest, the most pivotal election in the United States history and indeed in the history of mankind. And I don't think I'm being hyperbolic or if I'm being overarching by saying that we have a clear-cut choice between freedom and tyranny. With the United States being the main bloc to the global rollout of the New World Agenda. I have seen some letters from our friends over in Liverpool, some schools already signing up or have been signed up for the army to start now going into schools and testing children. I will read the letter out. Well, I will obscure the names, but I won't bring it up on the screen. But I will read the letter out that was sent to parents from a school in Liverpool. I'll block out the names as much as possible. Let me jump back here. I did have it to hand. Oh, where are you? Everybody started to chat again. There is a couple of articles there. Where did that go? Where did that go? I think it was here, down the bottom. Apologies, live chat. I did have it queued up. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Well, just to reiterate the point that a school has signed up in Liverpool. Many other schools as well have signed up and are allowing the military now. And you are one of the special schools, as the letter says, to roll out this plan where the army, the actual army, are being rolled out on the streets. Now, I only make these comparisons and I bring these comparisons up to you. And to remind you, it was our good friend, Jean Murray, who brought that letter to my attention. And you might be able to catch it up on Jean Murray 120.wordpress.com if you want to catch up with some of Jean Murray's, our good friend Jean's writings. And I have an article, our last article, that I will be reading out from Jean, but she carried the letter and it is circulating on the grounds. So to our friends in the United Kingdom, just be aware of that. Okay, let's jump straight into the first article. And we're going to go to our friend Michael Sullivan over at thefreepress.ie. Great to see Nikki. Great to see you all filling up in the live chat there. Presidential election results, 4 times the mainstream media lied. This via the Free Press. This weekend, early, the US presidential election called by all of the mainstream legacy media is nothing new. Their early and probably incorrect call for Joe Biden is the 4th such mistake in the last 70 years. Look to the past to understand the present. Truman beat Dewey in 1948 despite media calls otherwise. Polls on Dewey were all wrong, like polling companies were for Biden. Truman actually won in 1948. Harry Truman beat Dewey in 1948 despite widespread early calls by the media, along with multiple polling companies predicting a landslide for Dewey. The same thing happened before the recent 2020 election. Polling companies predicted a landslide for Biden and Democrats taking the Senate and the House. And as we can see, that it seems that the Republicans have flipped 10 seats in the House. Nancy Pelosi will no longer be the leader of the House Speaker. But what we have coming up on the blind side is the 4 horsemen, the radical left, Ocasio-Cortez, and the other 3 bad actors that are really tearing the Democratic Party apart with all of this. None of these things happened, indeed, besides Republican candidates making massive gains in the House and holding their Senate majority once Georgia is sorted out. Trump was winning by a landslide, 800,000 plus on election night in Pennsylvania alone. That was before the ballot counting was inexplicably stopped in several states early on election night. Trump's legal team alleged that Trump's landslide was so big that the nefarious actors needed to stop counting to recalibrate their fraud efforts. We'll have more details on legal cases this week. Legal challenges appear to be very strong at this point. And we also have linked to newsmax.tv in the header of every page for you to stay up to date on the ongoing legal processes. As I've said to you and remind you again, One News Network America, One Network America, Newsmax, among other things, ditch Fox. Fox have completely shown their hands, apart from the obvious Tucker Carlson, but Tucker would be encouraged now to jump onto alternative media like Bill O'Reilly, who are becoming substantial entities out on the alternative media platforms by themselves. Very much encourage Tucker to get out amongst it. It won't be long, I'd say, before he'll go the likes of Judge Janine who have had their shows cancelled because of their correct calling of the elections. Gore was called an early winner by the liberal media outlets in 2000. War criminal George Bush won after 37 days were afforded to Gore to challenge the result in court. Many people have an issue with the Republican Party in the United States due to George Bush and Dick Cheney, partly because of their warmongering in Iraq and intentional lies over weapons of mass destruction and the cover-up of what really happened on 9/11. When it comes to Donald Trump, many are unaware that he was actually a registered Democrat until before the election in 2016. The ultimate truth is that Trump is neither a Democrat or a Republican, which is why they hate him on both sides of the US media. Remember, Fox News also called Arizona, indeed the entire election, early for Biden. This is also why prominent Republicans like Mitt Romney, Republican challenger to Barry Soetoro. Anybody hands up? Barry Soetoro? Do we all know who Barry Soetoro is now at this stage? Those of you, the casual viewer, jumping in and joining in to see what this craziness is all about here in the Grandstream, will understand who Barry Soetoro is. Or stroke Barack Obama in 2012 are urging Trump to concede early despite having firm legal grounds for challenge. Trump is not part of the false dichotomy of left versus right, and this is why his supporters love him. They believe he is simply about right and wrong. If you need any more convincing that the legacy Democrats and Republicans are friends, witness in fact here that Dick Cheney has been announced by Biden as his foreign policy advisor. This is the swamp Trump has been trying to drain. Again, excuse me, if the Biden presidency is legitimized, that we will be going back to war, ladies and gentlemen, and look out for the folks in Syria. And I remind the folks in Syria, news coming out there as well, that some 6.5 million citizens left Syria during the last war, and it has now come about that their governments, their people are calling for them to come back. But the majority of the 6.5 million that left Syria were fighting age men between 18 and 35, making up the majority. As our good friend over at Stefan Sanity for Sweden, Stefan, remind us, the majority of them ended up in Sweden. And as they said, you can now go home. You are free to go home. Your country requires your services. Your country needs you to rebuild it. You can indeed go home. Will they go? Will they? Sod. Not with £1,500 a month from the welfare system in Sweden. But that's going to cripple because Sweden is crumbling. Its economy is crumbling because it can no longer afford its welfare burden. Hammer and Scorecard is on the record as having been used by US intelligence to meddle in foreign elections. Obama took the program out of the CIA in 2016, and you can guess the rest. Incidentally, the company running the software that glitched in Michigan, more on that below, is part owned by Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein, the ultimate Democrats. Here's General McInerney speaking a couple of days before. Now, that's links to a video drop. I don't know how many people have seen that buffoon crying his heart out on election night, using critical race theory and race baiting. And our good friends at RTE, it's time to heal, says Biden in victory speech after Trump. We all know that they've shown their cards early. They've shown their colours. They were only lapping it up that a Biden presidency might be on the horizon. And it's back to the happy old days, envelopes in the back door. A lot of things going through the back door in RTE. Which brings us to the present day. The mainstream liberal media in the US called it for Biden, as did outlets in Ireland. Remember, RTE News, Ireland's state broadcaster, run with government money and deeply biased for that reason, is run by John Williams, who worked at uber-liberal ABC in the USA and a fake news BBC London when Jimmy Savile was having his reign of terror. It is no surprise that RTE fake news would call it early for the Irish public, especially run by Williams. Remember, they and a whole cast of liberal media outlets across the West have called the election early despite being fully aware of the following. There were 6,000 votes given to Biden that were meant for Trump in Michigan due to a software glitch. It was caught because this was a heavily Republican county in 2016. So the swing didn't smell right. The same software is used in 47 other Michigan counties and 30 other states and all of the disputed swing states. It looks like very sloppy cheating, which will be their undoing in Michigan. There is a recount in Georgia with tens of thousands of Trump-friendly provisional ballots, votes that for the administrative reasons like voting at the wrong precinct were put on ice, and military ballots
still to be counted. There are hundreds of people willing to testify on record in court that they witnessed vote tampering in several states like Nevada and Arizona. Tens of thousands of dead people have been found to have voted in several states where margins are razor thin. Pennsylvania state law dictate that every one of the ballots that wiped out Trump's 1,800,000 margin are inadmissible as they were received after the 8 p.m. election day countdown. You remember they were brought in at 4 a.m. in the morning when there was no observers and mixed in with the ordinary ballots. So again, that is going to be a difficult one to sort out. Statistically impossible, some 100% turnouts occurred in some Wisconsin counties that all went to Biden. You may want to do some of your own digging on Bernford's Law, which statistically shows that fraud definitely occurred. There's also more here on Zero Hedge on that data and inconsistencies. I will leave a link to all the 3 articles in the description box over on YouTube, should you all be looking for these after the fact. We will be uploading that straight after this morning's presentation. There are many more inconsistencies of fraud being exposed daily. The fact is this: the mainstream media did not report the news. All of the above is available to them to report on if they so wish. They choose not to. You cannot trust RTE, CNN, or any of those who are lying to you by saying this election is over. Google and Twitter are also biasing search results by promoting narrative following results. They don't want Trump to win because he will take away their Section 230 platform protections and ultimately break them up in an antitrust suits. They have censored every one of his tweets since Election Day. Think about that. The sitting president of the United States being muzzled by a corporate entity. It's all part of the big gameplay, GT. Let's just keep it on the base level for the normies. Let's not go worrying out and spiraling. Please do not spiral. Google and Twitter are desperate to promote the narrative that Biden won because, as we outlined before, Biden is deeply compromised and the facts of Hunter Biden's computer will continue to spread in the coming weeks. You probably cannot trust page 1 of any Google search result when it comes to anything political. Remember this lesson. All of the above election issues and more will ultimately lead to Republican state legislators and the Supreme Court. It remains our prediction that Trump will carry the election once all legal votes are counted. There are huge implications here for the Western elections going forward. We will see new federal oversight in the US for all elections, and pressure will mount on Western governments like Ireland's to reform. What software are other Western governments using? Interesting times to come. They had this all planned and had all the paper ballots ready to be inserted if needed, and the code ready to be inserted if they need to use them using Hammer and Scorecard. Scorecard and Hammer, these were CIA intelligence software that were used in overseas operations in other elections overseas with Democratic parties, and they have then been taken out of the intelligence service and implemented in the USA. It's all a huge game. I did remind you, and I will reiterate again, we are at war. This is a global war. It's international, or it's nationalists against globalism. And the globalism plan is still creeping and arching forward. But the big stopper in their plan is another 4-year term presidency for President Trump, who will obliterate all the main players. I think you're going to see Feinstein, all the usual cadre of the bad actors, Schumer and Pelosi. They will all face serious questions on electioneering and election fraud. The bad actors and the bad cops in the FBI, we've seen McCabe being scrutinized by Cruz. And I know we're being very American-centric, but the whole world at the moment is holding its breath as we wait and see. I remind you that the Bush-Gore situation went on up until the 38 days, up until mid-December. So there is weeks of misinformation still to come. The Biden lead has been officially stripped. He is no longer, even as he designated himself president-elect. It is all still too much to play for. And what we can see, and from what we can see from our platforms here, is that voter fraud definitely occurred. Was it widespread? And was it enough to affect the election? That will have to be played out and be discussed at the Supreme Court level. I don't think, from myself and from my own perspective, latest information that I have, that the Supreme Court won't make a ruling on that. State legislators and state and federal legislators will not turn the election over to Trump. That individual judge or that legislator will not want to disappear his career to give Trump the win. So it will play through the processes I imagine it might, on balance, go to the Supreme Court, but I think ultimately, which we expect that the Biden party will not concede in any way, shape, or form, if they have said it will go to the House of Representatives, and each of the Houses of Representatives gets a single vote in representation. And I've told you they've just flipped 10 seats. So the majority is with the Republicans. It's a foregone conclusion, in my idea, should the processes play out over time. I believe come December the 14th, when all of this has to be resolved, so that the operations behind the scenes for the inauguration on January the 14th can take place. So couple of more weeks, people. Hang fast, stay firm, keep our eye on our own situation here. I'll touch straight over then this morning just on the second article. This was brought to me by our good friend, Dr. Steve Turley. It's only a 2 or 3 minute read, but again, this is from Andrew Torba, the CEO of Gab.ie. If you haven't already signed up over there, and why don't you sign up to me over there as well? Same name, Grant Torino over at Gab. The Great Awakening and the End of the Elitist Era. The way people consume news and information is about to change forever, and in a big way. Once the truth of this election surfaces, institutional media power will crumble to ash. No one will ever again believe anything the mainstream media reports. No one will ever again trust anything they see from big tech platforms. No one will ever again take any poll seriously. The people yearn for the free flow of information, for authenticity, and for truth. We will no longer submit to celebrities, media personalities, big tech companies, or, quote, journalists telling us what to believe, what to think, and what reality is. The era of smug inner city elites dictating facts to us like parents scolding a child is forever over. Big tech pollsters, pundits, and the mainstream media have all overplayed their hand for the last time. The false narrative and this fake president-elect will be the red pill to end all red pills. When the bubble bursts, and make no mistake, it will burst, the collective great awakening of people around the world will be an unstoppable force that will change forever the way we process, consume, and distribute information. The truth is surfacing daily on Gab.com from normal, everyday people who are brave enough to speak freely. Gabbers have seen the content of Hunter Biden's laptop. We've seen the truth of the pervasive and systematic fraud in our electoral process. We knew all of this was coming, and this is why we stand firmly grounded as the sane minds in a world gone incredibly mad. The Gab community is the dawn of a new era for the free flow of information, an era where information is not dictated to the masses by a handful of elites, but rather crowdsourced, curated, and distributed by millions of people in real time. Buckle up, the media revolution has only just begun. A short little brief one there from Andrew Torba, but I think it encapsulates everything succinctly. In essence, that because people are no longer going to trust mainstream. How can they, when it's so clearly that if anybody was following the polls, as the pollster says, as the pollsters had it, that Biden was ahead by some 10%, that it would be a landslide. It never occurred. And we have this tight, contentious rate that is riddled with voter fraud. How can anybody take RTE seriously, or any of the crony politicians that we have here in the Republic of Ireland who lauded it and revealed themselves? And again, I point the finger at Richard Boyd Barrett, so cravenly crying over his candidates, over his preferred candidates' win. No mention of objectivity, of apolitical stance and welcoming and questioning or wanting the fair process, because we all know that here in the Republic of Ireland, our electoral system is as wonky as the donkey. And I hope these electoral reforms and that some blockchain technology, I mean, a good friend, not a good friend, but a good learned friend of mine pointed out that there are plenty of capable people out there that could give and deliver electoral processes that could be secured via blockchain. May even the simple act of having a driver's license or a voter ID before you vote. We need that here now more so than ever. Our system is now open for corruption, with voters being brought in from all four corners of the world and that are being told which way to vote. That's why you see the craven Fine Gael, Fine Gael monkeys and Gombeans and the rest of them encroaching into mosques and other areas, trying to replace the working class vote, because they know They have failed us. They have failed us so many times. We can't be on count. Hopefully now the citizens of the Republic of Ireland will start to question and push back to the government, because once this fear of this medical tyranny, this embarrassing, mesmerizing fear trap that they're trying to place us all in, when the evidence, the empirical evidence on their doorsteps is undeniable, but they reject and refuse to look at these. So we can only but call them liars and replace them, should we be afforded the opportunity of voting. And again, votes are gone. It's mass demonstrations, but I'm not going to pursue the point, and I'm not going to belabor it. Absolutely, Southeast, a fear trap. We are caught in the headlights like startled rabbits, the majority of us, but not all of us, and are frozen in space and in time and following the diktats of the treasonous, treacherous, mid-level gone-bean landlords that are in power, only stuffing their pockets with the taxpayers' money. It will come to an end. I don't know when, but trust me, friends, it will come to a clattering end sooner or later. This last piece from Jean before we sign off, as we come up on the last half hour. And our good friend Jean, always with some words, capable words to describe the situation we find ourselves in. Maybe some soothing words. A little sober coffee, everybody. Hope everybody's continuing on their Logos juice as we enter into the flu season. Last article for me, and I will touch off. I will, if you're following me over on Twitter and Instagram, I will post today if Fiona Marie is able to join me this evening. If not, we will definitely do a broadcast tonight. I'm kind of, like I said to you, I'm playing around with the format. I've got some bits and pieces going on in the background that I need to take care of, so I do need the extra time. Next week will probably be a slow week as well, as because I'm undertaking some medical work, so I don't know if I'll be able to stream, depending on how that situation goes, but I'll keep you up to date as we get closer to the time. This one then from our friend Jane Murray. Worrying times. It's finally here. The announcement drafted on all the news channels this morning, the 11th of November 2020, declared the COVID vaccine is ready and will be available for administration before the end of December. It was just over 9 months ago that Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, Director General of the World Health Organization, declared that the coronavirus, a worldwide pandemic. Even to myself, without having any science degree, it seems very fast to have made a coronavirus vaccine. And I personally would have a lot of concern around the necessity of this vaccine. From what I can understand, it is a messenger RNA vaccine, unlike other vaccines. It doesn't use strains of the virus. It uses the virus's own genetic code. It enters the cells and tells them to create antigens. These antigens are recognized by the immune system that tell the body to fight the coronavirus. Hey, doesn't our own immune system fight viruses anyway? It seems to be a lot of trouble and expense when we already have a natural, successful system in our bodies already. And more importantly, the Hohei only affects 1.4% of the population. I would also wonder, what would happen to our own DNA when a different DNA genetic code is injected into our cells? Gene. I've often pondered on that myself. The Irish mainstream media did not challenge Taoiseach Micheál Martin or Minister for Health Stephen Donnelly as to the premature arrival of this vaccine, or how was it possible to see any positive or negative side effects from trial studies in such a short time. The mRNA vaccine has been tried on animals since the early 2020, but has only been trialed on humans since July. Yet our Taoiseach has ordered 2 million vaccines from taxpayers' money. Michael aims to first starting with injecting the old people over 80 years and the HSE nurses and doctors. He will then do the over 70s, 60s, and then the over 50s. Michael explained he would need the help of high-level government task force and external expertise that I suspect is the UN. They have been moving their trucks into Ireland during the last few months and camping themselves over in the west of Ireland. Our RTE reporters didn't think to ask why was external expertise and government task forces need in a vaccine administration program. It was obvious during the interview that there was an elephant in Leinster House, but nobody brought it up. Will the COVID mRNA vaccine be mandatory? Would people be able to say no? Nobody asked and nobody had to answer. But we all know the answer. Given the fact that masks are mandatory to go to school, to work, shops, or travel, it will be exactly the same for the COVID vaccine. The fact that our Irish government have conspired with the UN, the EU, and the World Health Organization in this massive fiasco of a pandemic to bring about a mandatory vaccine with the sole purpose of using grandmothers, grandfathers, aunties, uncles, sisters, and brothers, and grandchildren of Ireland as lab rats. It saddens me deeply today, just like it saddens every other man and woman that have been trying to tell their friends, neighbours, and family for months now that this is what the whole COVID was about. Losing your choice, your freedom to protect your body, and your freedom to protect your child's body. My heart is heavy as I wonder what will happen to the old people who get the COVID vaccine first. Will they be okay? Man Hancock, the health minister for the UK, tells us that a second dose is needed. For what? For what, for goodness sake? It's so obvious now that there is no pandemic. It is that the first dose is just to add a new DNA to change one's own, and that the second dose, to add the much talked about nanocell, is that one can be constantly tracked, controlled, and researched. It's all just so suspiciously corrupt and not about a virus. Hancock seemed excited at the prospect of injecting hope into the arms of a nation. He is so sinister, and I wonder that the masses can't see through him and his compadre, Simon Harris, our own previous Minister for Health. I can't help thinking that I am sleepwalking through a nightmare and crazy people are running the world. So many people are divided over this. The world media have done an amazing job in hypnotizing the nations with fear and propaganda. People stopped using their logic and common sense and trusted governments instead. Grandparents haven't seen their grandchildren for over 8 months. Will they ever see them again after the dark winter that the president-elect, now citizen Biden, keeps reinforcing? What will happen to our families and friends and neighbours who say no to the special task force when they knock at our doors? What will happen to our children and grandchildren if they say yes? All the best from our good friend Jean. Right article, Jean. And again, we're just going to keep banging the drum. We're just going to keep making the noise as much as we can, fam, as much as we can, folks. Keep speaking to those nearest and dearest to you. Keep trying to change the zeitgeist. Keep speaking out as much as you can. On yesterday's broadcast, you remember that we all have to understand what is the personal amount of ire that we're prepared to put up with, that we are prepared to risk. I beseech you, I importune you, keep trying, keep speaking, keep rolling it out, keep pushing back against this. This is nothing as what it appears to be. As Jean says, this is nefarious. This is questionable at the very onset. Those with even the most minor leanings onto the fair play of the due process as we look towards the United States. But here in our own jurisdiction, this is all so quickly warp-speeded, and this is all being so contrived to bail out what is our technocratic overlords here and big pharma overlords here who are desperate for a whole mass population to buy in and bail them out. I understand people working these projects. I understand people working these pharma companies. I'm not asking you to delay on anything, but I am asking you to understand that taking this injection without proper years of research, trialing, and testing being done is not the way forward. Warp speed or not, you cannot inject something into somebody else without, and I'm already saying there's a 90% success rate. That percent, 10% of those people, do you want to be part of that 10%? Do you want to know the list of ailments that could be possible that would be the outcome of such a warped trial, rushed vaccine injection? Are you prepared to take that risk? Are you prepared to let your family take that risk? Surely we would want the margins narrowed to the bare minimum, to absolute security. Nobody is against vaccines that are properly trial tested and have years of research and peer review behind them and have at the very basics Koch's postulate. I remind you, those of you again, Koch's postulate will determine what it actually is. Can you describe, can you show, can you repeat it? And they have never done it. Jean lays it all out there. They're going to tag, test and trace and follow you. And those that fall victim and have corruptible negligence or side effects are indemnified. You won't be able to take it anywhere. You won't be able to prosecute. And the taxpayer then will be expected to give out the medical treatment. The health system is collapsing right in front of our very eyes, all neatly in time for the Great Reset. You will own nothing and you will be happy and you will do as you are told. Doesn't have to be this way, folks. Doesn't have to be this way. Keep speaking the truth. Keep speaking your truth. Keep standing firm, saying no, and trying to spread the message. Keep protesting, keep dissenting. I encourage you, I beseech you, I importune you as I always do. Okay, we're going to keep it, as I say, kind of relaxed. Welcome to the new follower over on Twitch, Mauser Man, and those of you joining over on YouTube. I am getting the notifications. Appreciate that. Keep it going. Okay, as I said, we're going to keep it short and sweet. We're going to sign off. Before I let you go, please, for those of you viewing over on live on YouTube, please don't forget, smash that like button. If you haven't done so already, if you're also, please hit that subscription button and the bell, and you'll be reminded of future broadcasts here on the Gran Torino. Please, if you would, brighten my Northern Star by leaving your thoughts, comments, and witticisms in the comment section down below. Do love to read through them, and it all helps with the interaction and with the algorithms pushing us forward. Please, if all you can do is smash that like button, please do so, because it pushes it into other people's recommendation list. Big thank you and a big shout out to you. As you know, we are demonetized, but we are not demoralized, and we will keep pursuing and keep pushing this out as long as we have this platform available to us. And thank you so very much for all of you using World Wide Web, grandtorino.ie, to help keep and maintain the independence of this platform. And again, if you're of a mind, please don't forget to use our snail mail, PO Box 131179. If you would like to send us your correspondence via snail mail. And last but not least, how could I ever forget, nor that I ever will, don't forget our good friends over at The Little Farmer, thelittlfarmer.ie. We love our enzymes so much. We keep them alive. Wheatgrass and barley grass juice full of antioxidants. Just shake and shoot. One wheatgrass shot is equivalent to 1 kilogram of your leafy green veg. Just shake and shoot. And don't forget to enter in your promo code over there, over at thelittlfarmer.ie, GT, and you'll be given your substantial discount. And a continued shout out and a big thank you to our friends for their continued support. Okay, live gang, I'm sorry that we don't have this interaction, but when Facebook comes back, we will be able to bring more guests in. But let us just keep trundling along till we are given the keys back to the car, and we will crack on. I will hopefully see you later on this evening. Hopefully you will be able to join in. Appreciate that, Mac Tavish. Appreciate that. A couple of comments from you before we sign off. Take care as well, Southeast. Seamus says, good day, said people. Absolutely. Keith Cookman says, we are sorry for individuals, all with a voice. Big us. Us. Permanent lockdowns. Yeah, we're going to be going into these roll-downs. Well, they say we're going to be going into these roll-downs. Not enough of us push back and start pushing out and kicking back. Thank you, Willie Squirrel. Okay, my friends, I will leave it there, and I will sign off, and I will see you later on this evening, hopefully with our good friend Fiona or Marie Flanagers.